Ladies and gentlemen, it's playoffs time, and I hope you missed us because we sure as hell missed you. It's the Iberian League playoffs by Esports League and Pros. My name is Nelson AC Silva, proudly joined by Max, formal Von Neumann, to bring you all the action in and out of the Rocket League pitches for the final four teams taking the top spot on the Iberian League. Max, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm feeling, very excited, very keen to see who's going to survive day one, who's going to fast track themselves to that grand final, and who, unfortunately, is going home and finishes their journey today. No day two for the loser of our final game. So every series matters. Every series means do or die, and it's going to be a really exciting journey for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Double elimination playoff brackets where we have best of 5 games all the way towards the finals, or it's going to be a best of 7. But the team that comes in from the losers bracket needs to win 2 best of 7s if they want to declare themselves the champions of the first edition of the Iberian League.
Yeah, exactly. No free game. It would be a complete bracket reset if we go down that path. However, my team that I think is going to be taking it, I'm not even sure they're going to lose a game, let alone a series. So I don't think we're seeing a bracket reset. I think we are going to be seeing the newly appointed Giants Gaming kind of running the bracket. And that's going to start with our first game as they're going to be taking on EC4, kind of that bubble team. They barely did scrape in to an extent, although
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did win the games they were supposed to win quite convincingly, and they've been super exciting to watch. I think XYZ has really stood out as kind of that premier Portuguese player, kind of playing for a Spanish team, which is
Yes.
funny, but they've been fast, they've been competitive, they've kept up with their opponents thus far. I just feel we're going to see another Giants Gaming today, a next level Giants Gaming. The Giants that we saw finish top 4 in spring series, the top 4 in the Euro Cup. I think that's the Giants that's coming to play today, and I don't know if any of these other 3 teams are ready for them.
And I'm super looking forward to see Vodafone Giants in play. I mean, we know what the Kenyans did. We know it's the same roster. We're talking about Steak Zamue and Talks, the still same 3 lineup that went completely undefeated during the regular stage of the Iberian League, now running into Vodafone Giants. But then again, I also expect to see a lot more from the other 3 teams. They have rivalry. Wow, English, man, rivalries in between themselves and amongst themselves, but we also have a couple of roster changes, including in EC4. We have a small roster change for this first series. Technical difficulties did not allow one of the players to join in, so we have Infinite coming in for EC4 to pair up with Hadri and XYZ. This could be problematic for EC4 as a whole, or maybe, just maybe, they can catch the Vodafone Giants off guard. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? You never know what can happen. Overconfidence can be the bane of any team's existence. And if there was any player on EC4 that I kind of feel they might be able to get away with, Karsten, it hasn't been the most consistent player on the team. When I think EC4, I think Hadri, I think XYZ. Karsten has kind of been that bubble player, I suppose. When he plays well, he plays really well, but he's had a couple of performances where he's been a bit lackluster. And so, Infinite, I mean, he is the coach of the team. He should know how they play. I do expect strong synergy. I'm a little more worried about a coach later in the day, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Uh, yeah,
We'll cross
I'm
that
excited
bridge
to
when
see
we get there. Don't worry about it.
exactly. I'm still, regardless, excited to see what EC4 is going to bring with this slightly altered lineup. I mean, we saw in the past, Weed and Bots changed their lineup. They looked a lot better. Los
Mhm.
Hombres de Paco, they changed their lineup. They looked a lot better. So it's not as if lineup changes mean doom and gloom. Anything can happen, and who knows? They could spark the fires of that upset.
They could, and I mean, that upset could absolutely happen against the Giants, and it would be one of the biggest upsets that we've seen to date in the Iberian League, at least. Though, again, and I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, people at home, if you people have been keeping up with the interviews that me and Max have done throughout the week to individual players of the teams, but I guess everybody expects Vodafone Giants to be the favorites. So, Vodafone Giants come in as the untouchable gods. And this pandering from the other 3 teams might put them in a position where they might get a little bit too comfortable, despite the fact that, Vodafone Giants, they know what they're doing, and they don't want to make mistakes. They want to prove that they are the best team in Iberia.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are coming into this with that confidence. In those interviews, I did have that opportunity to speak with the Vodafone Giants. And yeah, they're yes, the Iberian League. They think this is great. They think they're going to win it. They feel they are the best team, but their aspirations are that next level. Like they want to go RLCS. They want to be the best team in Europe. So for them, this is just that stepping stone to get there. And I fully expect them to capitalize on it. I think this team does have that maturity. I think they have the coaching, they have the framework. They've been together for a good long while now. It's kind of
Mhm.
why I'm putting them that tier above. Again, overconfidence, those demons can strike you at any given moment. There's a reason why we play these games. And EC4 has a new fire lit under them. Historically, they've been a fast team. They have been an
Yeah.
aggressive team, one of the most shots in the entirety of the league. So that does mean the Giants are going to have to be mentally resolved. They're going to have to brace for that attack. But one of the things the Giants have done, I feel, better than any other team in this league is take an aggressive team and punish them for it. Their counterattacks have been so deadly. Their deep passes through the middle of the pitch, constantly able to hit on those, able to throw it right back. And then teams start to play differently against them. And by the time you start doing that, you're done. So I hope EC4 can find their identity and stick to
Yes.
their identity despite the trials thrown their way.
And let's see if they put their money where their mouth is on the head-to-head matchups. We do have stats for you, ladies and gentlemen. So let's put them on the screen for us to see exactly what this match is all about. So we're going to have Vodafone Giants on the left here, and we're talking about the point differential here. It's insurmountable. Giants were completely isolated in first place throughout the regular splits. And we talked about goals on target. EC4 do have quite a few more goals than Vodafone Giants, but I guess at the end of the day, that doesn't really mean anything. It just means that Vodafone Giants have a lot more control throughout the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, look at the shot differential. That kind of tells the story right there. Way more opportunities created by EC4, and as a result, you have a higher goal count, but it's not proportionate really to the amount of shots taken. The Giants, yeah, 187 shots is a lot, but they're hitting a lot more of them than I feel EC4 are. Now, granted, that has a lot to do with the play styles. EC4 games are typically very back and forth. It's sort of like almost the entire pitch long test back, bang, 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 where the Giants, they definitely are better at picking their opportunities. Again, these counterattacks are fast, they are deadly. A lot of times they're accurate, but they do have strong offensive rotations as well. I mean, they are the closest thing to a complete team we really do have in this league, which is why, the shot count isn't terribly low.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I do feel, the higher save count also is something to take note of coming from EC4. It does mean that they are off frequently on defense. Again, it comes from that longer back and forth. The Giants less likely to make those saves. That said, player to
That
player,
said, yeah,
Zamway and XYZ. And this is just, again, kind of continuing on that same point. More opportunities equals more goals for XYZ, but, more rambunctious play means more times you have to be on that defensive end, and XYZ has those saves as well. Now, granted, this player has been amazing. He really has been for EC4. He has been that star player, and he's going to have
exactly.
the performance of his life today.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk about EC4, the first player that comes to mind between all three players that usually represent the main roster, you think about XYZ as that main playmaker, as the main engine to the team that controls the forward half of the pitch, while the other two players back him up, having usually Karsten off the back of the board, trying to go for the boom and clears, trying to set up the game for Hadri to actually set up solo plays for XYZ. Mechanically, XYZ probably the best in this specific matchup where we're talking about Stakes, Zamue, and Tox. All these three players, they work well as a team, but you haven't really seen them have the same mechanical prowess as XYZ. Though, at the end of the day, team play usually beats individual prowess because three players working in perfect sync are usually better than one player playing in sync with himself.
And that's just it. I don't think it's a case of they aren't mechanically as skilled as XYZ. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a case they haven't had to use it, but because we have seen hints of it at times, specifically from Stake and Zamue. I can remember two clear goals from them where they've just pulled off something absolutely crazy. I think it was the one I'm thinking of. It was like a double touch pinch off of the ground, like a floor pinch off the ground. That I believe it was Stake who did. It was back during the second week, so it was a while ago. My memory's a little fuzzy, but they'll pull something like that out of nowhere and remind you, like, oh, these guys are that good.
Yeah.
So you definitely cannot underestimate that solo play coming from them. They can go toe to toe with you. That's going to be a risky game to play. I think that's the game, though, that EC4 is probably going to want to play. They're going to try and force that. And then who knows, in a 1v1 situation, all you have to do is win that 50-50, right? It's called that for a reason. Coin flip it.
I
But
mean, yeah, but then again, you have again, Vodafone Giants seem to have a lot more control over the pitch rotation, so it's always going to be a not easy task to perform, especially if Vodafone Giants take the ball up to the skies and they start playing through the air, which is where they thrive the most. Like what I've seen is most teams, they are, especially the top 4 teams, they're extremely proficient in airborne plays, but they usually kick off the ball from the ground. They usually start the plays from the ground and start scaling in height. Whereas the Vodafone Giants, they're completely comfortable just intercepting balls midair and continuing to play from there. And I think that's their bread and butter, and that's exactly where they're going to beat EC4 at the end of the day.
I mean, it's why I literally call them perhaps a tier above because they're playing that next tier higher. You can't raise the level of the pitch, unfortunately, to go up with them. You have to get up there yourself, and that's something again EC4 is going to have to do. Now they can do it. I definitely believe this team has the talent, but whether or
Mm-hmm.
not we get to see that talent today, whether or not they rise to that level, well, we're about to find out, aren't we? I don't know.
We're
I'm
about to
still leaning
find
with
out.
the
All right,
Giants.
quick predictions. I say 3-1
I
for
say 3-0.
Vodafone. 3-0 for Vodafone Giants. Oof. Well, EC4. I still believe EC4 can step up to the occasion in at least one of the games. Now, despite the fact that my interview with Rascal, really good guy. He was not confident coming up against Vodafone Giants, but they were confident that they could run the gauntlet in the losers bracket all the way to the finals. So, what I heard from him was that it doesn't really. At the end of the day, what he cares about is beating super mode.
Mm.
So Vodafone Giants, I don't know. I still feel like EC4 can take a game out of Vodafone Giants just because, all these teams, I don't feel like none of them really showed what they could do during the regular split, and I'm expecting every single one of these 4 teams to step up their game on these playoffs. Now, can EC4 step up to the Vodafone Giants that were already a step above when they themselves are going to step up? I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe they can take a game. I mean, Vodafone Giants, we've seen throughout the regular split that they're not unbeatable. They make mistakes just like every other team, and they get severely punished for them. So it's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of EC4 capitalizing on these mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Will they be able to capitalize again? My interview, look, I think it's interesting that both of these teams had their eyes on teams on the other end of this bracket
That's
because
true.
they were talking about, Los Hombres de Paco. They're very good. They have the mechanics. They can keep up with us. So that's kind of where the Giants were looking at, perhaps at that winner's final, if things go as I predict them. So I think the second half of these games are probably definitely going to be interesting because we're going to get a bit more of those rivalries butting head to head, assuming everything goes according to the unofficial script. Uh, I'm excited to
There's
see it
one of
either way.
those.
Oh yeah, I have so many scripts. Like my desk is just flooded with scripts, and then I pick and choose for the occasion which one we need today.
Fair enough. I mean, we're gonna
It's
have 4 best of fives
interesting.
today, and we'll have the finals tomorrow on Sunday. So
Mhm.
we still have a couple of games to go through. Absolutely. Regardless, so EC4, I
Yep.
still think they have the opportunity to take a game away from Vodafone Giants, who absolutely have their eyes set on the prize, and probably even bigger. Like we're talking about a team that probably has bigger goals than just the Iberian League, and their aspirations. Like this is just them proving themselves as being one of the most dominant teams in Iberia, if not in Europe. At the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Exactly. And I think that they want to be that team representing Spain on the European platform. They want to be like, look, Spanish Rocket League, we are some of the best out there. We can compete with pretty much everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
We've already beaten Dignitas. We did it before. We could have done it again, perhaps, if our computers held up a little bit. Mhm.
Come on,
Mhm.
come
Yeah,
on.
that's what I mean. Like, that's sort of their attitude. They believe they are at that stage right now. And obviously, tournaments like these are the stepping stones. I mean, it's still been a great thing for Spanish Rocket League and Iberian Rocket League really as a whole to see like these kind of tournaments popping up, this support infrastructure coming through, that motivation for them. Obviously, off season is kind of here-ish. You want to stick together. You want this team to work together, and you have to keep winning. You have to keep performing in order to do that. And that's why the Giants really are coming into this quite motivated, I feel like, to just go the distance.
Hopefully, yes. Now if they'll go to the distance undefeated, that's a prediction in of itself. If they're gonna
Hmm.
drop a game, I think there is a severe possibility that they will drop at least a game, if not a series. I mean, it's just a matter of seeing how the other teams are squaring off against each other. Like right after the series, you're gonna have excuse me, Los Hombres de Paco versus Super Mode, and that is going to be a very interesting series. There
Yeah.
are going to be talking points in that specific series that will address But as
Look,
it stands, it could be interesting. It's a thing.
I feel like I am the more I'm thinking about this series as well, the more I'm realizing I think my mind got a little bit tainted for this one after my interview actually with Rubik's from
Mm,
Super Mode because he
yeah.
was the one who was telling me it's just like, yeah, the Giants are just gonna go undefeated. Don't be surprised if no one scores against them. That is what he told me, and he's coming from a
Scores.
competitor. That's what he said.
If no one scores, okay. That's an
I'm
even
not going
deeper
that far.
layer of
I'm not
predictions.
going that far. I'm
I
not going
wouldn't
that
go that
far,
far
but
either because AC4, like I predicted AC4 to take a game. If they want to take a game, they need to score against them. But that's another. Okay, you know what? I'll make that. I'll make that note. So Vodafone Giants are
Mhm.
going undefeated and
Hey,
unscored.
that was Rubik's. That was Rubik's. That was not me. That was not me. I'm saying they go undefeated, maybe until the final. I might change my mind come grand final time. If they make it to grand final, that's when I
Hey,
might change my
in
mind.
a grand final, it's a best of 7 series. There's a lot more games and a lot more
Exactly.
opportunities to make mistakes. And we just talked about it. Vodafone Giants are a team, and they're still human.
Yes.
They still have room to make mistakes. They can still happen. So we'll have to wait and see if they will actually happen,
Mhm.
and if they do, or if they're just going to be a perfect, solid squared off team.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I've just brought up the history as well between these teams as well in my
Hmm.
notes. And it's not as if, EC4 haven't beaten the Giants at least once before. Very first week,
Right?
game number 3, they did win 4-0. In fact, it was actually a bit of a
Right? See,
beating.
I
Now
told you.
granted, so it can happen. Granted, game number 4 went completely back in the at the time Canyon's favor. Now the Giants, so it
Mhm.
will go either way. That said, I imagine we're going to be kicking this one off soon.
Yes, we will. Just gonna have to roll out the pros this thing here before we head into the pitch where the both teams are ready to go. So let's roll it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time finally. And it's going to be the Vodafone Giants representing the blue side with EC4 in the orange.
Yeah, I mean, new. I'll call it prefix. I guess new team title. I'm seeing already from the Vodafone Giants.
Of
Vigia
course. Oh my.
is already they are off to a bit of a hot start right now. You can see very tight play coming from them. XYZ though, he has been that big player for EC4, but Talk's just not letting him get any of those air dribbles off. Infinite, the next player, the coach, as a matter of fact, going to try and set up his team, but tight defense coming from the Giants right now, and really just not giving too much breathing room, if any, it feels like, to EC4.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're putting the pedal to the metal and they're forcing EC4 to run a very tight defense around their box. And so far, it's working out for them. First time the EC4 squad actually managed to get the ball off. Immediately, Vodafone Giants bounce it back into the area of EC4. That was a dangerously close ball to open up the scoreboard, but it's still 0-0. State gets another demo. Super aggressive from Vodafone Giants. It seems clear. Sammy Way goes in and bounces off the side, the crossbar. And it's not in yet.
That was a great pass and shot, however. Samuel probably felt like he could hit that one, but just looking at the pace that which the Giants are kind of attacking right now, it really does feel like EC4 is trying to play catch up. The bump leads to the open net, and Tox makes it 1-0.
They've been poking, they've been testing in order to see how EC4 were rotating their defense, and they've finally found their mark. 1-0, just 1 minute and 15 seconds into this game. EC4 needs to be a little bit more creative.
Yeah, they need to be a bit more creative on their defense for sure, but now's the time to do it. Hadri does go up, wins a very critical 50-50 right there, but Stake, the third man, was already pushing forward, had that play read, and it means more offensive pressure coming from the Giants. Zamue should be in a position to take a shot right here, hesitated, so he'll play it off the wall. Tox now goes up, only Infinite in the goal. He can't do much. 2-0 for the Giants.
Great spike, great setup from the Giants. I mean, we talked about how dominant they would be, and so far it looks like they're being pretty damn dominant. Tox perfectly positioned right through the center, and they're not allowing EC4 to actually set up a play for themselves. EC4 are just at the mercy of Vodafone Giants as it stands. They're just forced to play respawns, and that was a huge fake by Vodafone Giants.
Oh, I mean, yeah, fake. I kind of call that Infinite kind of launching himself into the stratosphere right there, trying to push the ball forward. He pre-jumped it very prematurely, so it's quite an easy read. Ooh, nearly another goal right there from the Giants. As Steak is going to keep that pressure on. Infinite in particular, I am starting to see sort of the cracks in his positioning already in this one. A couple times he's lost control of the car. Unforced errors just like that where he's been unable to make contact. Some of his rotations have been a bit disorganized, and unfortunately it is hurting EC4, especially on their defensive efforts. A big demo leads to an open goal for Steak. Great redirect. 3-0 now for the Giants.
And this is looking grim here for EC4 in game number 1. I mean, so far, your predictions are coming true, and I mean, I do believe Rubik's predictions as well. Unscored so far, it's still 3-0, but there's still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to play. We've seen wackier things happen during the regular split. EC4 still have a chance to come back, but again, Infinite's it felt like he was just mispositioned, yet again, not really able to take a defense from a bump on Zamue Airborne.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty desperate effort right there coming from Infinite. He was trying to bounce that ball up into that top crossbar. If he doesn't hit the ball perfectly, he's going to wind up own goaling it. So the fact that he missed the ball completely isn't that egregious because his window was just that small in that instance. However, I think the bigger issue right now for EC4 is, yeah, like they are being outpaced in this game. Something very ridiculous, something that we haven't really seen yet from the Giants, and this is that next level I was afraid we are going to see. Like, these guys are playing so fast, so accurate. Zamue nearly doing it all himself. That last second bump, not quite enough to score the goal, but there's still 2 other members left on this Giants that are going to kind of carry through in his place.
Exactly. And look at, oh my goodness, look at how the Giants are playing. They're just starving resources away from EC4 as a whole. They're taking away the boots on their own corners. They're not allowing the rotations from EC4 side to happen. They're just dominating mid-pitch. Look at how they stall the ball, setting up the play for the team member that just doesn't exist at that point. Could be the saving grace here. EC4 close, but no cigar just yet to take the ball. Attempted spike from Infinite, but immediately Giants reclaim positioning and reclaim control of the ball.
Yeah, and here they come yet again. Talk's trying to throw it down to Steak, pops it up. Infinite does make contact this time, and actually, that was a pretty good touch. Steak does have to throw it to the corner to slow the pace down. Maybe, just maybe, we can see something from EC4 on the attack right now. XYZ passes it back to himself, trying to set up Hadji, but Zamue with the patient defense makes the read and goes for a great interception. And this counterattack, the bread and butter of the Giants, it comes at EC4 so fast. You can see the defense desperate. They're a little out of position, but the shot's not quite accurate enough for the Giants. So EC4 survive, at least for now.
But you already see Steak taking control of the ball. Tox is in the midfield trying to set up the ball for Zamue, is looking for boost, looking to control the midfield. Pinch with Steak and a huge goal from Giant.
Oh, that is highlight worthy, and then some. XYZ just doesn't get enough power on that touch, and I'm not even sure that was a pinch. I think that was kind of more of a fake, and Steak was the one who punched it through. Either way, a very clean looking play from the Giants to really put game 1 out of reach right now. 5-0. It might get worse before it gets better.
I mean, it could still be a 6-0. I mean, still 40 seconds left to be played here. The Giants, Audrey actually gets a demo, but it's not enough to maintain clearance. Oh, unless they actually manage to set up the ball here. They get 2 demos, but they're not able to actually prevent the Giants from keeping on the offense. A single-man offense, they're still able to maintain the ball in EC4's half. Sox defends with a huge save here for Vodafone Giants, keeping their side of the scoreboard clear. 5-0 with 10 seconds left to play.
Do we see that 0-second goal? Maybe Zamue, trying to slow down this last-ditch offense and is able to get one back to Tox, who will let it drop, and the Vodafone Giants take game 1 with a very comfortable 5-0 lead.
Comfortable is an understatement. One thing that I felt about this game was that Vodafone Giants weren't playing at maximum pace. It didn't feel like a hyper-fast gameplay. It just felt like they were tactically more advanced. You saw the more times than not, they were stalling the ball midfield so that they could reposition and take control of the map as they wish. And it's not even about the fast-paced play. It's about knowing where to throw the ball, knowing where your opponents are, and playing around those factors.
Yeah, and the thing too is by playing with this style, they actually stopped EC4 from playing the type of game they wanted to play. EC4, again, one of the most offensive-oriented teams. They loved going back and forth with these clutch saves, throwing it right back on offense, sort of counterattack, where they would eventually come out on top. But the Giants, they just never let EC4 get a single attack to begin with. We saw a much more aggressive positioned Giants team. Instead of waiting for their own sort of defense redirect pass counterattack goal,
Yeah.
they're playing, no, we're just going to have established offensive rotations. We're not going to break them. We're going to steal your boost. So even if you do get a good touch, you do not have the speed to sustain it. And then we are going to turn that into a goal eventually when things break down. That unforced error is going to happen, probably from Infinite, as he's not necessarily gelled with this team just yet. Case in point, 5-0 victory. So the Giants are looking very good right now.
They are looking very good, but let's see if this small minute break was enough for EC4 to actually come up with a good strat to maybe even break up the defensive prowess or the offensive prowess of the Vodafone Giants as we drop right into game number 2. First touch comes in and the ball is already in an offensive position for Vodafone Giants.
Yeah, here come the Giants, one might think, although this time they were sitting a little bit further back, so not that same sort of pressure being thrown out of the gate this time around, and maybe that can open something for EC4 right here. That's a good pass to Hadji, who unfortunately isn't able to wrangle it. A wonderful flick from Stake does mean Infinite will miss another flick. Oh, that was so fast and so controlled at the same time. Stake never lets the ball touch the ground. That was dribbled the entire way. Absolutely phenomenal from Stake. You were wondering where those mechanical prowesses are. Trust me, with the Giants, they are there in plays like that.
Oh, you can bet that they are. And that we were just talking about how slow-paced the Giants looked comparatively to other iterations. That play, they found the opening. They were just steamrolling towards EC4's box non-stop. Look at Hadji going for the solo play, but Tux, it doesn't even feel like he had any effort put into that save.
No, that's just it. And, you know, that is always the sign. It doesn't matter what event, sport, game. As Infinite it actually is going to get a goal. He was down the pitch on his own. The ball falls into his lap. You can see he was thinking of rotating back for defense. And all of a sudden, the ball just lands right there. So he'll turn that around, and we'll actually have a tie game.
All right, well, we were talking about how Infinite wasn't really gelled into the team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he just cracked a small opening in the armor of the Vodafone Giants. 1-1, and it's tied for the first time in this series. Well, bar the 0-0 score line, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, those don't count. 0-0 doesn't count. No game will ever finish 0-0, therefore it is not a tie. That's how I think. That's how my brain works.
Okay, great. Now, the Vodafone Giants, that has to sting. I mean, you had okay, yep, no, that is, okay, now we're stepping it up again. You had the interview with Tox, or not Tox, with Rubix, that said that Vodafone Giants were going to go undefeated, and it felt like they were trying to go undefeated. That was a blow to their pride, and now, Giants should be looking to blow out EC4.
I can imagine so, but the thing that I find interesting, actually, like most interesting about that goal from Infinite, it did come from that place of overconfidence, because everyone on the Giants were pushed down thinking they're going to get their offensive rotation again. They weren't paying any attention to the lost player on the orange side, just driving around, kind of having a fun old time. That goal was such a fluke for so many reasons, but at the same time, that's a bit unfair to call it that, because Infinite, you know, he did wrangle possession of that ball quickly and then scores. I suppose the setup was a bit unlucky, but the goal itself wasn't. So I'm going to rephrase how I said that. Either way, I mean, Infinite's got to be proud of that one. It's just funny that the coach comes in, the substitute, and he's the one who scores that big first goal, and Stake puts on yet another, now 3-1 in favor of the Giants.
Yeah, the coach showing the kids how it's done. I think he's actually the manager of EC4. Either way, they had their goal of honor, and now it's Vodafone Giants back on the offense, always in. And I'm not even going to say the half of EC4's map, but I'm going to say the farthest quarter of their pitch.
Yeah.
Because they are not letting go of that midfield line. And it's just goal after goal after goal. You know what? The gates are open. Let's just everything go in now.
I'm still trying to figure out what Infinite was trying to do right there. It looked like he was going to try and drop a pass to a teammate, but both XYZ and Hadri were probably each thinking like, you know what? We need to stay back in the goal and stop this inevitable shot coming through because this is going to go poorly, and poorly it did go.
I don't know why you're being mean. Infinite already scored a goal, so he's having a time of his life. He's going to let his team do the rest.
Well, I mean, that setup, he was kind of helping the other team there with that setup, unfortunately. Either way, though, EC4 still can, get something. I want to see a better goal. Like, when I say better goal, I want to see a more organized goal come from this EC4 side. However, they are still stuck on defense at the moment. Talks, look how fast he is going with this setup right there. Although Zamue doesn't like the look necessarily, so Steak is going to pass the ball to himself. Gets that next touch, a bit of a pinch as well. Zamue doesn't have the cleanest read, so Infinite will start to push it forward. Ground pinch, throws his own team out of balance, and then he nearly owned goals. Again, the synchronicity just is not there, it seems like.
It's not, but the thing is, I don't mind if EC4 get these sloppier goals out of Vodafone Giants mistakes. I just want the goals to happen. Truth be told, I really just want the goals to happen. It doesn't have to come from a clean setup. It just needs to come from a sloppy fail from Vodafone Giants. If they keep on abusing these errors, they can actually make good things happen, but Vodafone Giants are tightening up their defense so much that it's making it so difficult for EC4 to actually start racking up the play. But for these past 30 seconds, and for the first time this series, we're seeing EC4 take control of some deeper ground on Vodafone Giants, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because Vodafone Giants score their 5th goal.
Yeah, that was the EC4 style of gameplay, though. We were starting to see that back and forth attack, counterattack coming from both sides. Again, a problem is the Giants are probably even that little bit better than EC4, even when EC4 had their strong lineup. And you could see by the time the Giants were on that counterattack, players were already on that other side of the pitch, or mostly all the way there, ready to catch that ball and score that goal. So the Giants taking advantage of whatever style of gameplay EC4 is throwing at them, as Infinite keeps going for these defensive aerial dribbles, and not one has worked yet, as once again a ball is stolen from Infinite and turned into a goal immediately after. I think that's the 3rd time within the past 2 minutes in this game.
I mean, you can ask, Infinite, what are you doing? The answer is his best.
Look,
and there's not much you can say about it, to be honest.
No,
I mean, good touch here from EC4 now. I mean,
for these aerial dribbles, they're technically very difficult to pull off, and his mechanics are there. It's just the timing of them and that one little mistake that seems to punish them again and again. This time, Infinite does the smart thing and goes for a banging pass, and look at that. Already more success as the ball gets a bit further than what we've usually seen. However, here comes that counterattack from the Giants to see what they can do.
I like it. Talk says my bad, and Infinite says no problem. There it is. Nice shot from Steak again, or in this case from Talk, who gets another shot into the goal. 7-1, 30 seconds in. It does feel like it's 2-0 for Vodafone Giants, because I don't feel like this game is recoverable from EC4.
Have we hit the infamous Brazil scoreline in this one right now? Unfortunately, EC4 playing the role of Brazil. I mean, look, XYZ speaks Portuguese. That's what they speak in that country as well. So I guess it does make a little bit of sense, as
stings
XYZ
a little bit, but yeah, they do. It's true. It's different, but I get where you're coming from. It's
for an American, as long as look, the world, the globe as a whole, as American, they either speak American itself or foreign. Those are the 2 languages.
I guess that's relevant. Now Zamue trying to go for the pretty plays. It's going to touch ground now. The Vodafone Giants aren't done yet, but the ball finally hits pitch, and we're done with game number 2 with a Brazil scoreline of 7-1 favoring the Vodafone Giants. But Vodafone Giants aren't going to run the playoffs without being scored against.
No, they are not. And if that turns out to be the one goal that gets scored against them, I will be so amazed and so happy for EC4 in particular with Infinite, because that goal was amazing. Like, that goal was hilarious. That said, though, if we take a step back and look at the Giants as a whole and how they're playing right now, I have to say they are not disappointing whatsoever. They are playing like that team that wants to be best in Europe, best in the world even, because, you know, EU is greater than NA. So I guess saying best in Europe, best in the world, same thing, really. I digress, though. Yeah, the Giants are looking absolutely unstoppable right now. This is the performance I was expecting from them. They're not showing any mercy. They're not experimenting. They're not putting on the brakes a bit. They have
No.
come here today to dominate. And unfortunately for EC4, they're really feeling the brunt of it in this series.
Oh no, they are. It's a shame that they're going to be the you know, the trial team here to show the full strength of Vodafone Giants, because I mean, we've seen Vodafone Giants in the regular split. We've seen them experiment. We know what it's about. We know what the experimentation looks like. There's no experimentation here. They've already done everything that they had to do to come to the grand or to the playoffs in this case, knowing exactly what they want to do and knowing what works and what doesn't work. And against EC4, I mean, they've already ran against EC4, getting them 3 on the board, 5 minutes, and it could be the last game. It's match point for Vodafone Giants to throw them into, well, the final. Realistically.
Yeah, the winners bracket finals is what is on the line right now for the Vodafone Giants, and you'd have to think if they keep playing the way they are, they might get there. But already seeing, you know, a much more aggressive EC4 in terms of their initial positioning, really fighting for possession of that ball. Stake content to keep it at the slower pace right now, making a lot of defenders miss it. Beautiful touch by Hadri. Unfortunately, the follow through was a bit late. Hadri had to go do it himself. Now with the pass down, XYZ is there, but Hawks makes a beautiful little touch and makes the save.
Okay.
Actually went to January. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, we were just talking about how Vodafone Giants weren't trying to experiment. It feels like they're trying to experiment in a more grounded pace here. Because you don't really see the ball going airborne as much as you saw in the last 2 games of this best-of-5 series. Ball's being kept really, really low. Maybe even trying to give EC4 a bit of a fighting chance. This could be dangerous, and Hadri tits it in for the first time in this best-of-5 series. EC4 are leading the charge.
Look, I don't care who you are, what team you are. I feel like I have to make this point every time I cast Rocket League. Slow clears across the box always will end in heartbreak, and Hadri this time is the one breaking the hearts. He'll be the heartbreak kid. You can see the frustration right there from Stake as he goes straight for Hadri on that demo. But XYZ past the Infinite shot, not quite on target.
Not quite on target, going into the corner. Infinite now trying to recover the ball. It's Hadri who gets the touch. Stake is there, backboard touch coming in. Hadri in a good position. XYZ sets it up yet again. Could be a spike, but nobody's there to receive it. Infinite, nice break on Tox now. As Vodafone Giants, they've had enough, and they seem like they're going for the play. Hadri, good touch to keep the ball away. Tox again. Hadri back-to-back defenses.
Yeah, Hadri is not giving up on this one. This man is playing possessed right now. He's getting so many fantastic touches, both on offense, defense. Unfortunately, he misses that shot right there. That could have been a big 2-goal differential, one that I still feel EC4 probably needs if they want to take this game right now, because Stake is looking for a pass, actually. No one there to catch it, though, so a little bit surprising to see it as, yeah, you can definitely have a bit of feeling that the Giants are playing a lot more passive right now. They're not that with that same aggressive edge, but this defense is holding strong for now.
So far, it's holding really strong. They're playing back to front right now. EC4 seem to have woken up in game number 3. They're not allowing Vodafone Giants a lot of space. Hadri doesn't boost quite enough, but then again, Zamue hits a crossbar. Crossbar is EC4's best friend this series so far, it seems, as EC4 does maintain a lead of 1-0. It's a very, very fragile lead, but one the Vodafone Giants are struggling to recover right now.
Yeah, and it does seem like, again, the Giants aren't really playing with that same edge that they had before. I'm starting to see more awkward double commits, stranger positioning coming from this Giant side, as a lot of times they're kind of sitting around and waiting for the ball to get to them, as opposed to that sort of attack mentality they had before. That said, as soon as they get that ball up in the air again, that, you know, very much vertical style gameplay, well, they're going to find their goals that way. It seems like each and every time. Beautiful pass to Stake turns into a tie game.
That was unfortunate, to be honest. I mean, you had Infinite in the right position, just at the wrong angle. And Vodafone Giants are not going to miss an opportunity like that. They're going to just toss it right into the goal. Now, Vodafone Giants are back on the offense. They're running the momentum. Great bump on the defense there. And Vodafone Giants back on the leading.
Yeah, back into the lead they go. Just watch Stake, his control, immaculate, able to push it through. Had the help with the bump as well, just to make sure, you know, the landing strip was clear. No debris on the airfield today. once again, it is the Giants in the lead, and EC4 on that back foot, going to try to find a way to equalize it. Swings and misses like that from XYZ are not going to cut it. Steak again puts another goal in and open up the floodgates because the Giants are pouring through.
Yeah, I mean, it took one goal for the Giants to start riding that momentum. One single goal. And let's be real, EC4 probably spent more time on the offense this game than the rest of the 2 games combined where they lost against Giants. So if there was a game that EC4 could take home, it would have been this one. But this is just a testament to how strong the Giants are. Great save by Hadri on the pocket there. See if they can do anything about it, but no boom and clears coming in. Infinite with a good touch, but that touch is going to set up the ball for Vodafone Giants. If there was anybody in position, XYZ keeps the ball rolling in favor of EC4. Stocks off the wall. Back on the airborne gameplay here for Vodafone Giants. Here they're trying to set up a nice offensive play.
Yeah, Tox is going to go ahead and try and pass it down. He's going to catch his own play off of the roof.
My good
Anyway, though, actually pops it up, setting up Steak for that goal. What a beautiful 1-2-3. The setup on that one from Tox was absolutely a thing of beauty. And
I mean,
4-1 is the new scoreline.
Set up for Tox, touch from Zamue to keep the ball slowly in the area. Just for Steak to finish off the work. That was one of the most beautiful technical plays I've seen to date. And I haven't seen a lot of Rocket League.
I mean, no, that play from Tox was absolutely wonderful. Ooh, near Rule 1 situation right there. I don't think those are going to be sticking with it. Infinite nearly banging it straight down the middle. Unfortunately for him and the rest of EC4, that's going to be saved. And yeah, 40 seconds remaining, 3-goal differential, a red-hot Giant squad. I think this one may be over.
Might be over. XYZ is still attempting to make something out of this defense. Great save there by Infinite as they're back on the counter offense. XYZ gets bumped out of the way by Vodafone Giants. 20 seconds left on the clock. Could still have a chance for them to score one more goal as Infinite goes for the ball. Sets it up in the corner, but immediately Giants get it back on to the side of EC4.
Yeah, with 10 seconds remaining, do we see one of those last-second goals? Tox thinks he has it. Good save by XYZ. Unfortunately for EC4, they can't turn this into more offensive pressure. At stake, 0 seconds, one last attempt to make something crazy happen. Ball's down in the box, but Infinite, he's had enough of this series. His eyes are set on super mode, so he'll let it drop, and the Vodafone Giants advance to the winner's final.
It wasn't a clean, or it was kind of a clean match for Vodafone Giants. EC4 had moments of brilliance, absolutely. And at the end of the day, Rubik's prediction wasn't accurate. Yes, Vodafone Giants went 3-0. Your prediction was fine as well, but they went 5-0, 7-1, 4-1. EC4 managed
to great pass and shot.
Pinch the armor of the Vodafone Giants twice in 2 separate games. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It was 2 different games. Granted, they were severely punished in game 1 and game 2, but 7-1 scoreline, it is what it is.
Look, and I still have problems with that game 2 goal. Actually, a lot of problems with that game 2 goal. Game 3 goal was sick. That was a well-deserved goal for EC4. Game 2, Infinite's goal. I mean, again, case in point, he was resetting back and had to e-brake, turn around, like reverse park, beep, 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 turn it back around, and then just put the ball in.
It worked.
That shouldn't happen. It worked. It definitely worked, and credit where credit is due, as we are seeing, some of the highlights just next to us right there as well, kind of showcasing just some of the technical ability and prowess, not to mention the speed that was coming from the Giants in this one. They played so well, and I am worried for either Los Hombres de Paco or Super Mode, whoever has to play against them in that winner's final, because they have their work cut out for them for sure.
Yeah, and we're talking about a team of Vodafone Giants that wasn't necessarily clean. They still were trying to experiment, especially in this last game where EC4 started off actually leading. It felt like they were trying to go for a more grounded game style, trying to see, what, let's see what EC4 can do if we tone down the game pace to their level. As soon as they do this, EC4 punish, they get a goal, and they're like, okay, let's go back to the way that we play and the way that it actually works. And 4-1 scoreline, Vodafone Giants, if they're playing their game, they feel untouchable right now.
Yeah, absolutely they do. And it's gonna be curious to see who can step up and sort of rival them. I mean, their eyes were set on Los Hombres de Paco. If I was gonna pick, someone to win the next game, I'm still leaning towards them. We'll get more into that when we get to that. However, I do believe we should have an interview right
We do.
about now.
We have an interview with
Ooh.
Steak. He should be right around the corner to tell us exactly what happened in the game between Vodafone Giants and EC4.
I'm excited to hear his words. I really want to know about that goal in game number 2. That I'm going. You can ask the nice questions. You can throw them the praise, but I'm going in on
All
game number 2.
right, here we go. Steak, congratulations on your 3-0 victory. How are you doing, man?
Fine, thank you.
All right, so amazing gameplay, phenomenal Vodafone Giants stuff. Yeah, I mean, it is what we all expected, a 3-0 victory. I mean, I still expect EC4 to take a game from you, but still, phenomenal performance. I wanted to ask you, what did you expect to come into these playoffs and not suffer a single goal, or do you feel like the 2 goals that EC4 scored were a fluke? How did you feel about that?
Like, we expected to get a 3-0 or a 3-1,
Mhm.
but lately, after being in a slump, these last days we have trained a lot, watched what we could do better,
Mhm.
and I think we're just playing good now again, and so we just show it.
I mean, I don't mean to be too much of that guy right now, but I feel like there were little bits where we saw that a little bit the slump. Game number 2 in particular, that goal that Infinite scored was one of the most unusual things I have ever seen. Was that just a case of everyone was feeling too good, pushing down the field too much, and you just lost track of the fact that Infinite was kind of doing
I
donuts
the
back on
double
your
point
side of
that
the
we
pitch?
pinched, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I go, and Doc said, I get it, and we pinched it, and we failed. It
Oh,
wasn't
man.
expected, but
Hey, you
yeah.
managed to come back from it and you got a Brazil scoreline, so that's
Yeah.
that's it is what it is. So, are you comfortable with the competition in the playoffs? Do you think you'll go undefeated until the grand finals? And even on there goes my pen. And even on the grand do you feel like you'll be able to get a clean 4-0 victory on the grand final?
I think it will be hard because the other teams are good as well. But I expect a 4-1 or something like that, and we will get it all, I think.
Okay, I think I need to explain the reason why we're harping on this 3-0 is because of the chat I had before with Rubik's, where he said he would be surprised if any team even scores against you. So that's just a little bit of, I feel, what your competition thinks of you guys. But looking forward at that competition right now, we have our second winner semifinal about to happen. Who would you rather play against in that winners final? Who do you think is going to win? Just what is your sort of thoughts on this upcoming match?
I think Nachito's team will win. As I always said, Nachito is a great player. Also, the Menza. I don't know who's the third because I think they're playing with Kier Monster and not Mateos. I'm not sure, but I think
Really?
this is the team we'll go through.
Yeah, I think regardless of who they're playing with, they do look different depending on the player, but I think they may have that, key matchup difference in this one, which we will explain momentarily. Either way, congratulations on your victory. Good luck on your winners final. I'm sure you're going to be going back to the team and prepping for that one, so we won't keep you
Thank you.
here.
Yep. See ya, guys.
See you,
See.
dude. Thank you so much for joining us. Me and Formal are gonna take a short break before we head into our second best of 5 match between Los Hombres de Paco and Super Mode. So don't go anywhere. I'm gonna get my pen, and we're gonna be right back with you.